Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Thursday Thoughts. Actually, our last Thursday Thoughts of the year. We're taking a little break, a little breather at the end of 2022. We already got some folks lined up for 2023, but we'll talk a little bit later about how you can get on the roster for next season. But Kevin, how you feeling this lovely Thursday morning?
You know,
Afternoon, I should say.
we're about to finish up season 2 of Thursday Thoughts, and we do this monthly. And I always say going into this, we're not going to talk about Philly sports. We've got people watching us around the country. Some of them watching live. Some of them will be watching it later on LinkedIn, on YouTube, on Facebook. And we say we're not going to talk Philly sports, but I'm sorry, guys. We're talking Philly sports today. Our Phillies are in the World Series. Our Eagles are undefeated. Our Sixers are going to figure it out soon, and we know that they're still one of the best teams in the league. And the Flyers actually are not the worst team in Philadelphia right now. And our Philadelphia Union are showing success. And, I'm sorry. We got to give a little shout out to our Philly sports. So I'm sorry for those of you who are rooting for other teams. But, man, things are good, Zach, to answer your question.
Things are good, man. I'm telling you, you hit it right on the head. I mean, World Series, come on. I mean, last time we did this show, I think we were struggling to get into the postseason. We ended the regular season pretty poorly on the Phillies front. But, those guys turned it up in October, and I'm excited. I don't know where I'm watching this weekend, but I'm going to have a ball. I can't wait. And also, additional sports-related plug, I get to interview Malcolm Jenkins next week for Temple.
Eagles legend.
Yeah, President Jason Wingard couldn't do it, so I'm the obvious backup for the president of the university. So that should be fun and entertaining. But yeah, man, super excited, super pumped. We have an awesome guest today. I can't wait to introduce everybody to him. So we might as well jump right into it, and of course, go Phillies. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Thursday Thoughts, where we introduce you to amazing thought leaders, entrepreneurs, business experts who are going to help you and give you some insights into ways you can help and grow your business. Of course, I'm Zach James. I got my man, Kevin Homer. If you didn't see our cold intro, it was all about Philly. We're in the World Series. Our football team's undefeated. Other teams are playing well. Union, they're about to go on a run. So it's a good time to be in Philadelphia. What do they say? It's always sunny in Philadelphia.
It sure is. You summed it up. I'm great.
We're out here winning. So listen, we have a super important episode today, so I really want to jump into it. As always, we close out the year with a bang. So this is actually our last episode of 2022. And I'm bringing you guys into the wide world of webinars today with a brother who I met who, every time I see his content and his videos, I'm just in awe of not only of I appreciate good content and he does awesome stuff, but the knowledge he drops is next level. And I really think you're all going to benefit from this discussion today. So make sure you are liking, commenting, and sharing this episode that we're going to have with my guy, Mr. David Simons. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about David right quick. David is a speaker, trainer, coach, author, and mediapreneur. I love that term. He utilizes his offline and online skills to help people discover, develop, and distribute their purposes to the world. His passion and excitement for media has attracted the likes of Fortune 500 companies, influential speakers and coaches, nonprofits, churches, and entrepreneurs. David obtained a degree in digital media from Sacramento State University and a master's degree in entertainment business from Full Sail University. David is the CEO of Kingdom Social Media, a fast-growing digital marketing agency designed to help influential leaders and leading organizations dominate their market online by leveraging high-quality webinars and premium online programs. David has spoken and trained various organizations, including but not limited to American Family Association, the College of New Jersey, Full Follow Experience with Dilatoro McNeil, and many other awesome businesses. He's been recognized by Entrepreneur.com, Dell, Yahoo, Forbes, Huffington Post, and Hootsuite for his strategies in social media. He is the podcast host of the show, How I Discovered My Gift. And David enjoys teaching. And in his spare time, he's an adjunct professor at Temple University, Go Owls, teaching social media. David lives in the Philadelphia area with his loving wife, Abigail. And he lives by the rule, the biggest risk you will take in life is not taking risks, which I'm all about that saying right there. So let's welcome my man, David, to the show. David, welcome to the show. How you doing today?
I'm doing great, Zach. Thank you, Zach and Kevin, for having me on. Truly an honor, truly a blessing.
For sure, man. So we met. It wasn't that long ago. Like, we haven't known each other even a year at this point. And usually when I connect with folks, I'm a really good judge of not only character, but like, do they know their stuff? Like, because some people are in industries and in spaces, and you're like, all right, like I'm gonna go to somebody else for the real education. And that was not the case with you, man. I think I was taking notes. Like, I had ideas brewing as soon as we spoke, and I really appreciate that. One thing I wanted to jump into before we really dig into webinars is tell people a little bit more about yourself and kind of what brought you to this space of being in this social media digital webinar world.
Absolutely. So I always say it started really in the upbringing that I had. I grew up in a very strict household. My parents are from Ghana, West Africa. So they gave us 4 options, and there's one fifth one included, but it's be a lawyer, a doctor, an engineer, accountant, or disappointment. I was number 5. So I was supposed to be the engineer. My brother was supposed to be the doctor. And the short version of the story is that in my junior year of high school, I cracked into the system, changed my grade from a D to a B, wasn't doing so well. And I was expelled. I was expelled from the high school, and then I was expelled from the district. And that wasn't a good start to get into engineering. So miraculously got into engineering program in Sacramento State. First year was fine. The second year, I'm like, I hate this. I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. And I switched to digital media. And at that time, my mom is like, what are you doing with your life? Where did I go wrong? Because nobody knows what digital media is at that time, 2005, 2004. That's when MySpace and all that. I'm sure you guys remember the MySpace days. And I was using it for fun, helping friends of mine grow their MySpace pages, their top, manage their top 8s and do all the HTML coding to help brand people and stand out. And I was using Facebook. I configured some ways to use Facebook to use it as a lead generation system before I really understood what marketing was. And I was doing these things, and that led from one thing to another. I left California to work for a company called TerraCycle, the world's leader in upcycling and recycling. I was a global digital media manager there for about 4.5 years. Then I was actually let go, terminated, no real reason, generated them millions of dollars. But then I transitioned into Kingdom Social Media, and that's what we do today, where we help speakers, trainers, coaches, and consultants to dominate online, leveraging webinars. And that's kind of like my journey in a nutshell.
Awesome. So again, don't be fooled. He does still do work in the social media space. When I first heard Kingdom Social Media, I was like, he's a social media guy, which he is. Yeah. But what he's done with webinars and how he's taken that to another level is beyond me, which is why I knew we had to have him as a guest on the show. So let's get this started. Let's educate some folks. First thing I want to jump into, why the heck should we even do webinars? Like, what is the benefit of actually doing webinars, whether it be on a regular basis once in a while? What's your take on that?
Yeah, great question. The first thing I think we should understand is every business wants to get more business, right? So we all do. And when you break that down, what's the fastest way to get business? Well, the Stephen Covey said in one of his books about the importance of the speed of trust, and that business is only done by the speed of trust. We know the phrase, people only do business with who they know, like, and trust. So if that's the case, how do I speed up the trust? Well, when I look at this, I broke it down and I kind of developed this hierarchy. When you look at marketing, you look at things broken down. The first level of trust, and we're looking at an online standpoint, right? Because a lot of us are doing business virtually today. The first level is text. So text is your email, could be a text message, written copy, written language. When you see that, that's one layer of trust, right? But it's not as strong as the next layer, which is imagery. So image, that's why they say a picture is worth 1,000 words. So when you break that down, that's the second layer of trust, which is valuable when somebody can see a picture of what you're doing and some words. That's powerful. The next layer above that, sorry, battling a little cough here in my throat.
Oh, good.
The next layer above that is audio, but not just regular audio. That's recorded audio. So like a podcast, right? Like a show that's already, people can check out. And then the next layer above that is live audio. So like Clubhouse, right? That's another layer of trust. The next layer above that is video. So video in the standpoint that's pre-recorded. So you got recorded video, things of that nature. Then the highest level is what we're doing right now, live video. Live video is the fastest way to build trust online, because when I have this coffee scratchiness in my throat, you can see that. When I mess up, you can see that. There's authenticity, right? So webinars are in that same category. Live video, live streaming, those are the fastest ways to build trust, because I can see you authentically. I can hear you authentically. I can feel your passion, your energy stronger than any of those other platforms. So that's why I say webinars it's not so much about webinars per se. It's about people and how people connect. People connect better when there's a level of authenticity that they can connect to. And so that's why I always recommend to our clients, to everyone, you should be doing webinars, because it's going to speed up the level of trust. Well, when you speed up the level of trust, you're going to speed up the opportunity to do more business, because you don't have to take that time to develop the trust in the slower methods.
Right. And thank you so much for breaking it down like that, because I feel like a lot of people don't think about that chain of command in that process and what it can result in. Sometimes they just think, oh, well, it's a lot of work and it's going to be hard to get people registered, and what's the point? No, there is a point. And we've even had conversations with folks that didn't think that they needed a website or didn't think that they needed certain elements, and we had to explain it kind of like that, so they then got it. So that's a great breakdown. I do appreciate it. So next thing I wanted to jump into is, okay, you just told us sort of the value of why you would do it, but let's talk about its effectiveness, because I definitely have seen people do webinars and they not have an impact. And I'm sure there's a lot of things that play into that. So we'll jump into that as well. But why do you feel they're so effective, in addition to the reasons you just said?
Yeah, absolutely. Webinars are effective for a number of reasons, but some of the things that I want to bring about is it's an environment, right? So that you're creating an atmosphere like a stage. It's the closest thing to an in-person environment, right? So if you think about it, right, I just came back from a conference, and we're in the room, bunch of people, we're learning, we're hearing, we're feeling, we're laughing, all those things. Well, we know the power of that, being in a room, being in a network. What's the closest thing that can mirror that? It virtually is a webinar, right? So the whole atmosphere, the environment of a webinar, you're bringing a bunch of people together, and that also aids in your success. So say we're doing a webinar about marketing, right? We have X amount of people in the room that are coming to learn about different topics, the top things related to marketing. By the virtue of having all these people in one place, I have a one-to-many relationship, not a one-to-one. And when I have a one-to-many, that actually works for my benefit, because as the audience, if I get the audience in sync with what I'm talking about, and we're talking about marketing concepts, say yes if you know that you need to generate more leads online, and you got a bunch of yeses and people are saying yes. What did I do? The audience is selling the audience on the concepts. So it's not just me touting my horn or saying what I'm saying. I have now a tool to leverage to have other people push my message to other people, and they start to create an environment where they sell themselves. So the environment of a webinar creates essentially a frenzy around your product, around your service. And what does it do? It does a few things. So you create an environment. You also build authority. Anytime somebody's teaching in front of a room, that creates authority. Anytime somebody's speaking intelligently around a topic or speaking with their expert knowledge, you're positioning yourself. They're coming to learn from you. So with that said, you're creating a one-to-many relationship, you're creating an environment for sales, and you're creating an opportunity to build your authority and be seen as an authority, which creates positioning. And when you do all of these things, when you present offers or present value, present things that you can help people with, you're more inclined to get a sale than if you were not in that environment. Because when you're one-to-one, right, you're convincing, you're doing all the selling. When you're one to many, you've got others doing the selling. When you're building your authority, it looks better when you have more people seeing your authority than when you're doing. I'm not discounting one-to-one. One-to-one is powerful, but I'm just showing and illustrating the various reasons why it's important to consider webinars as part of your strategy.
Gotcha. And quick question regarding that one to many. So for some webinars, and maybe you'll educate us on what platforms to do a webinar on, but I've been on webinars where I don't see anybody else there. And it feels like it's kind of one-on-one, and they're saying, oh, well, there's 420 people watching today. And I'm just like, well, I don't know that. I don't know their reactions and their stuff. Like, what is there certain programs you should use or not use to do a webinar to get that effect that you just spoke about?
Absolutely. So I'm going to start with some of the others, and then I'll get into my personal favorite. So I think Webinar Jam is a good platform for webinars. I think EverWebinar is a good platform. I think Zoom is good for doing challenges, which is not in the same category as a webinar, but I don't like Zoom webinars personally because of, and we'll probably go into detail about that in a second. My favorite is Easy Webinar Pro because you're able to have all the things seamlessly integrated. And to speak to your question, your point about seeing who's available, you're right. Sometimes people have that turned off. But what would be a good gauge is the interaction in the chat box. So when you have, and so this is what we teach our clients to be very interactive. It's important to get feedback you don't want it to be a one-way communication device. It should be a multiple way feedback. And that's when you get the best result, when you are asking people, hey, type a 7 in the chat box if you're looking to grow your sales, or whatever that interaction techniques you're going to use. But the point is, people should all be able to see, oh wow, look at all these people talking about this. So that does aid it. And you're right, there's certain platforms where that's completely not an option, or there are platforms where you can turn it on and turn it off.
Gotcha.
And I think that's the perfect excuse to interject right now and just remind anybody who is watching live right now on YouTube, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, please leave a comment. We'll put it up on the screen, answer any questions you have. Or if you think that we're all just so amazing and you want to say you guys are doing a great job, we'll put that up on the screen too. Of course, we'll probably leave it there for a little extra longer time. But yeah, please, interaction is everything, as we just heard. So please, ask your questions. We're ready for them.
Perfect.
And in addition to that, if you want to comment on Kevin's hair or perhaps the deep V he is rocking, you can just let us know any of that stuff. No, we don't need more.
I thought you were asking. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, that's where the confusion, I guess, came into play. So
2023, I'm bringing the turtleneck out. I don't want to offend anybody.
Please do. Let's jump into this. How the heck did we get started? So you just named a few platforms. I know you said your favorite was Easy Webinar Pro. I'm going to ask you why that's your favorite, but give us a little bit about how you get started. I know it's more than the platform.
Yes.
It's a lot about the content you're putting on said platform. So speak a little bit to the getting started with webinar process.
Absolutely. So the best way to get started is to ask yourself, what is the offer that I have to give to people? So, and when I say offer, I don't mean the widgets or the gadgets or just the process. I'm talking about the opportunity for people to work with you in your service, in your program, in your course. What is the offer that you have for people to take advantage of? And this is where I think the biggest misconception is, like, and I'm glad you pointed that out, Zach. Like, it doesn't start with the platform. That's actually one of the last pieces. the first place it starts is with the offer. And I highly recommend this book for everyone. One of my favorite books in the last couple of years, $100 Million Offers by Alex Hormozy. And in here breaks down offer science, right? And so you've got to come up with an offer that is just amazing. Like it solves the problem for your prospect. It clearly defines what is wrong and why your service or your product is needed. So let me use myself as an example, right? So we have an offer called White Glove Webinars. We created it because we found that a lot of people would do a few things right. They might get the presentation right, but their offer was wrong. They might get the presentation right, and maybe they have an offer, but they didn't have the traffic part to drive as many people, or maybe they didn't have the they had the traffic and they had the offer, but they didn't have a presentation right. So we said, here's our opportunity to help everyone fix all of those things in one shot. So our offer is a done for you service that solves all those problems. And how do we come up with that offer? We literally thought about it. Like, where are people struggling? What are all the pain points? How do we solve all of the pain points? What are the solutions to all of those pain points? And so when we create a webinar with a client, we ask first, what is your offer? How are you going to give tremendous value to that audience or to those people that you're serving? And then once we have that dialed in, we've clarified the offer, then we go into the next step is we create the webinar and the content towards the webinar. So that includes creating like a landing page that tells registration page where people register for the webinar. How do we break down what this webinar is going to be about? Because we create the offer first because it helps us to craft the content to know what we're going to sell on the webinar, to how we're going to sell that offer on the webinar. Then we're creating the slides. And here's some tips I just want to leave with people for the webinar slides. One of the things that we do is we don't start with the design, right? We start with the content, just getting the things out of our head. And the biggest mistake I used to make for years, I tell you, I thought that on webinars you need to teach as much as you know, and just pour it on them, just give them, just overload them with everything you know. And that was one of the biggest mistakes ever. Because what it does is it does over teaching, right? So over teaching, what you would think is a good thing, but it's one of the worst things you can do, because what it does is a person now comes to the webinar. Well, David just gave me all those things. I don't need his service anymore. I'm going to go do this on my own. Forget David,
Right.
And a lot of us have done stuff like that, and we didn't realize, like, I killed it. I gave him tremendous value. Yes. But the problem is, on a webinar, what you need to have, and if you're first starting out, you need to use your webinar to break limiting beliefs around whatever the topic is. So if it's around marketing, you need to break the limiting beliefs around marketing. You need, I've been hurt and wounded by marketing companies. No, we need to break that mindset around that. Fitness, getting, in shape. I don't think I can ever do it. It's hard. We need to break the limiting mindsets around that. So we use the webinar and craft a presentation to destroy those false beliefs around whatever the topic is, so that now they can be comfortable to buy that offer. So that's the second thing we do. The third thing is the technology and the integration. So after we've got the offer set, after we've got the presentation dialed in, and now we can get into design, building out the nice, beautiful graphics, building out the making sure the technology integrates, making sure we got the email follow-up, making sure we got the text message follow-up, and all those good and dandy things. So that's actually the last step we do once we get that.
Wow. Thank you. So, and just harping back to something you said earlier about the different platforms, what makes Easy Webinar Pro your favorite? And I think you were also going to tell us something about like Zoom webinars and why that's not your favorite. What are those two elements?
Absolutely. So regarding Easy Webinar Pro, I love Easy Webinar Pro, and disclaimer, I've been using them for since 2015, so a long time. I've been utilizing, and I've bought pretty much every major webinar platform I have either purchased or used for a long period of time, like And so I just want to give this disclaimer, like, that I'm not just like stuck on a platform because I love the platform. Like I'm always testing it against others. So if there's something new that comes out, I'm gonna buy it. I'm gonna test it. I'm gonna find out where the pluses. I'm gonna compare it. So with Easy Webinar Pro, and none of them, by the way, none of them are perfect. None of them, not even Easy Webinar Pro. But what I love about Easy Webinar Pro is it has the most seamless, congruent process across the board. So from registration, you can ease, and also I don't just think about myself. I think about our clients, and I think about anybody utilizing software. The interface is easy to use. It really, the word easy is in there purposefully. It's an easy system for people to just put their stuff together. And you don't need, once you learn it about once, we've had clients that come to us for coaching, and then we recommend that they use it. They don't need us again. They know how to do it because there's one, the ease of use. The second thing I love about Easy Webinar Pro is that it's very systemized across the board. So we have registration built into one place. You've got your actual dashboard of where your videos are hosted. So you don't have to have like buy hosting or get another platform to do it. It's all in one place. You also have your email follow-up in one place. You can integrate, if you use like ActiveCampaign, MailChimp, or any of these other email providers, it can integrate into your system. So it has before emails. So a lot of times people are like, man, I got to go set up the emails. I got to go do this and do that. Everything is done in one place, and it connects into Zapier. So for those that are not familiar with Zapier, Zapier is a connection that gets software to talk to each other that don't really speak to each other, to speak to each other well. And it has all the connective parts if there's something else you need to do that's custom, but everything is literally in the program. I have replays built into it, so whenever somebody comes to the webinar, they can just watch the replay. I don't need to do anything. It's already, once I set it, it's done. It has a button to present my offer. So if my offer is presented on the webinar, there's a button literally people can click. There's a timer. There's a countdown. They've thought about every single step in the process. So that's why I love Easy Webinar Pro. I will say that the area where they're weak in is the interface design, right? Their design is not the best. So this is where we use ClickFunnels. So we bring ClickFunnels in on the front end. So ClickFunnels, for those listening that may not be familiar, it's a funnel building software. One of the best. There's plenty of them out there. Kartra, Lead Pages, and new ones, Go High Level. All these ones popping up every day. So, but we use ClickFunnels. We love the design. We create the funnel in ClickFunnels, and then we use a Zapier connection to connect into Easy Webinar Pro. And so that's what we like to do. And a person can do a variety of things. So hopefully I answered your question in there. Why I love Easy Webinar Pro.
I felt like an Easy Webinar commercial you just did. Like, I feel like needed to cut you a check.
You know what? I'm gonna talk to them about that.
You've been a member since 2015. Like, break them off, Easy Webinar Pro. Like,
seriously. You know what? Easy Webinar, if they listen to this right now, yeah, we have a conversation. But yeah, no. Back to your point about Zoom, right? So I have a respect for Zoom. I use Zoom on a daily basis. I think most of the world does, right? I don't think Zoom is a bad platform at all. I'm just talking from a perspective of conversion, right? So anything we do, we measure it against conversion. Why? How is this going to bring more sales, more opportunities for us? And so the problem with Zoom webinars specifically, they have a Zoom meetings and they have a Zoom webinars. Zoom webinars is a system that was kind of like put together after the fact. Like, okay, we need something that is for people that want to do have a lot of people. They don't want people to accidentally pop up on the screen and butt naked on your screen or something, right? So that was like, we need a solution because that was happening. So they created Zoom webinars, and Zoom webinars is functionally from the video streaming part. Zoom is top tier with that. Where they missed the mark is their process. They don't have a nice and seamless process for registration that looks nice. If you've ever looked at a Zoom webinar registration page is very basic. You can't put any information. You put your maybe a little description of what you got, your name, your phone number, your email. Well, if I'm sending an ad, I'm not sending an ad to a basic page, ad traffic to a Zoom page. It's going to turn people off, especially that don't know me, right? So yeah, it's great for people that are in your warm market, but in a cold market, people are not going to be moved by that. There's nothing for them to compel them to want to click to sign on and register.
Right.
So the registration process, and you can't really customize that unless you use a Zapier, right? So now you got to use a Zapier to connect into Zoom. Now, the other part that they don't have dialed in as well is there's no email system, right? So when I get people registered, I got to now go and make Zoom talk to a different software for registration. I got to make Zoom talk to a different software for email marketing. And I got to make Zoom talk to a different software for text messaging. Like it's a lot for people. And most people are not going to go through all the hoops to make it work right. Right. So they can do a Zoom webinar, but you're going to decrease your conversion because you're not able to really compel someone on why they should even come to your webinar. So those are the reasons why I think Zoom webinar is not the best for people to utilize.
Gotcha. Understood. And thank you for that lovely breakdown. Like I told y'all folks, he was going to be dropping gems. Make sure you are liking, commenting, and sharing. Share this with someone who you know could benefit from webinars, which let's jump into it. Like, who can benefit from a webinar? Do they work for anything, any type of business? And I was going for like a life coach, but I can only find a picture of like what looks to be some sort of football coach or something. But yeah, talk a little bit about like who benefits the most from conducting webinars.
Absolutely. So the people that benefit the most from conducting webinars are people that have an offer that I would say is at least above $300 to $500 above that, right? Like it has to be, those people generate the most because when you're selling a service that's a price point, a higher price point, the math adds up very quickly, right? You got 100 people on, 100 people registered. Let's just say you have 50 people on, you have 10 deals closed. Even at $500, what's that? 5,000, right? $5,000 can be made in one hour. Who doesn't want to make $5,000 an hour, right? And you do that 4 times a week. That's a $20,000 $20,000 a month business right there, right? So what I tell people is webinars do work best for businesses that have a high, it's not really about the type of industry, it's more about the price point, because I'm not going to work a bunch of time to sell a $10 item on a webinar, right? It's just going to take too much to do. So I don't recommend it for e-commerce unless you're selling an e-commerce course, right? I don't recommend it for low priced items. Because your ROI, if you run ads, it's not going to make sense, right? So if I spend $1,000 in ad spend and I get 100 people on a webinar, I'm just using the number 100 again, and I spend I get 50 people to show up, and let's say 30 people buy, 30 people at $10 is $100. $300. So I'm already negative $700 with that. The same thing at three. Let's just make the math easy for me. The same thing at $500. 30 people buying at $500 is $15,000. Nothing changed but the price point. So I highly encourage people that have a product like a course, a product that's over $300, $500, somewhere in there. I like to sell things that are at not only services, but for our clients, we tell them at least $1,500 to $3,000 at least, and then from a service-based side, somewhere in there too. But notice from our service-based businesses, we don't sell the service-based. We don't sell the service on the webinar. We sell the appointment. So you use it as a lead generation tool, right? So for my businesses that have services, we encourage you to sell. To get as many, because instead of trying to go and get one appointment after appointment for appointment, you can just use a webinar and make it a lead generation tool and stack up your appointments for the entire, month, right? So that's what I recommend for that. I think the other business, so let me just recap that real quick. So it works best for knowledge-based, info product-based businesses, courses, programs, experts. It really works great for that. Works great for service-based businesses that want to generate leads. And it works for products that are typically above 300 to 500 from a product standpoint. And it doesn't work well for e-commerce, and it doesn't work well for low price items.
Gotcha. Awesome. No, that's understood. So you got your little $8 book. Let's think of another way to get people to buy that book. Let's not host a webinar to do it.
Right.
On board. So here's a question I have, because I have a lot of friends in this space. As you can tell, I am not an introvert. I am an extrovert. But a lot of people are. And even a lot of the folks I know that are in coaching and offer courses and stuff are. So my question is, like, what if you're like shy, or you're a little timid and you're nervous about doing a webinar? What would you say to folks like that?
Yeah. So this is my philosophy in life in general, that everybody has something that they light up, that they're passionate about. When you talk about this thing, and it's usually, if you're an entrepreneur, there's something in what you do that makes you light up. So I believe this, and I think Zig Ziglar said it. He said, if you believe in what you do, you have a moral obligation to sell it, right? So if I know the cure for cancer, I would be considered evil if I didn't try to push it and promote it. And there should be, corresponding with that, if I have the cure for cancer and I'm cured, my enthusiasm is going to come out around the fact that I have this cure for cancer. So coming back to the shy person, that shy person needs to find, or an introverted person needs to find out really to the core, deep why. Why do you believe in what you would promote and present on? And tap into your reasons for what you're selling, the reasons. And that will, I'm not saying that you're going to become unshy necessarily or not become an introvert, but what will happen is, we've seen it. People that are typically introverted will come alive when you're talking about something that really matters to them. They come alive when they'll come alive when they're thinking about how they help somebody with, whether they're helping somebody with pets, or everybody has something that drives them. Mm-hmm. So find the drive, and that passion will come across, that enthusiasm will come across, and your care and concern to help others in that area will come across. So that's the advice I give for people that are more introverted.
Right. My hope and prayer is that there's a person out there currently selling insurance who hates it and is like, you know what? I think I'm going to become a dog groomer, and I'm going to start doing webinars about how my dog grooming skills are the best around. Like, I want that switch to happen for one of our viewers. Now, listen, you made a good point earlier today, about not giving it all away. Yeah. And I really feel like we could talk another 45 minutes about webinars. Yeah. But I don't want to give it all away. I want people to call you and reach out to you to get more detailed information. So give folks a little bit of info of how they can reach you, what they should know or be prepared with before they reach out to you. Tell folks a little bit about that.
For sure. Well, the timing is impeccable, because next week we're doing a 5-day challenge where I actually am giving away a lot. Like, so it's a little different from a webinar because it is a paid opportunity for people to webinars. I typically do free webinars. So we have a webinar called, we have a challenge called I am one webinar away.com. I am one webinar away.com. And what we're doing is, over 5 days, I'm pouring out literally all these different strategies, all the different things to help people with webinars. And there's two options. I'm pretty excited about this. There's a general option, right, which is $97, and then there's a VIP option, which is $297. And with the $297 option, what we're doing is we're giving. I do have a relationship with each webinar, but I need to enhance some of these things, because we're giving away a 1-year subscription to Easy Webinar Pro for every single person that comes in at the VIP level. So they would get, so the cost of Easy Webinar for a year is $1,000. The cost for our challenge is $297. So 3 times the value already automatically just by being a part of the challenge. And they get to learn with me for 2 hours each day for 5 days. So so that's what we got going on now. And then just in general, kingdomsocialmedia.com. They can learn. We have a whole section on our site about white glove webinars, about webinars, and the other stuff we do.
Well, clearly, with an offer that amazing, you got a relationship with Easy Webinar already.
Yes.
So we just need to tap him on the shoulder. Hey, you see him out here doing this? Like give him a little extra. Give him a little something extra. Any closing remarks or suggestions you have for folks?
Yeah. Back to the point. This is going to be less of a webinar point. This is going to be more about being, kind of self-conscious, as we all are. It's going to sound harsh, but this is what I tell a lot of my clients. You need to get off yourself and get on purpose, right? Get off yourself and get on purpose. What does that mean? It means you have a purpose. There's a purpose. There's a reason why you're doing what you're doing. And you need to take a step aside, say, you know what? I don't like this big mole on my face. Forget the mole. It's not about your mole. It's not about you. It's about the people you serve. I don't like the way my voice sounds. You need to get over that. It's not about your voice. It's about the people you serve. I don't like the way I look on camera. It's not about the way you look. It's about the people you serve. So getting back down to the brass tacks, to what the value is, why you're doing what you're doing, the purpose. So I always tell people, make it less about you. It's not about you. It's not about me. It's not about any of us. It's about who we serve and how we can serve them better. So get off purpose, get off yourself and get on purpose.
Love it. David, this has been a great chat. I really do appreciate you coming by and dropping some knowledge. Any last thoughts on your end, Kevin?
I'm gonna try. The collar's a little tight, so it's a little hard to talk now. But David, great knowledge. As Zach said, really good information. I'm sure our viewers are gonna jump all over it. I love the idea of the challenge you got coming up next week. To close, to close the 2022 season for us. Zach always enjoys when I end these shows with a joke. So
I don't.
I'm going to ask the question: do you know what is a spider's favorite way to learn?
Interweb.
It's close, not bad. But you should have known the answer to this. You attend a webinar.
Oh, dude. I should have known.
You're gonna use that in the future. I want to. If I join this 5-day challenge, I better see that joke busting out one of those days.
First thing we're doing.
That's corny as always, but thank you. It was fairly accurate, and I do think I'll hear David say that at some point. Yeah. We've been mentioning it all show long, folks. We are going to be taking a little hiatus till 2023. If you would like to be a guest on future Thursday Thoughts, just shoot us an email, energy@navitasmarketing.com. We'll talk about your expertise and use it to help some of our audience get a little better, with some knowledge from you. So by all means, make sure you're reaching out to us. Again, it's been a great year. We're also going to make some cool videos and kind of do some clips and recaps of the guests we had this year, because no doubt was our best year yet. And we got to take it even a higher level next year, which, David, we have had return guests. So we might be booking you in 2023 as well.
Be honored.
For sure.
And after that joke, David wants to come back.
Oh, yeah, of course.
He may have been on the fence until that, but I know he's ready now.
5-star jokes, man. I love it.
2-star. Go Phillies. Go Eagles. Go Union. Everybody else will be winning too. We love you. We'll see you next year. Peace.